Alrighty, people. We've got an absolutely fantastic stream for you today. We appreciate you being here with us. We've got Dylan in the building. We've got Chris in the building, who talks about that Genty landing spot to the Jets with Lance Zierlein's mock. What's up, Omar? What's up, Vivi in the building? Seth is here. Brizzleton says, what's good? Giants came up in the draft. Yes, we are going to use a mock draft today for the rookie draft that has a big old trade. What's up, The Roll? What's up, Joel? Yes, got to give any Eagle fans out there props. First things first, you guys were by far the superior team. It wasn't even close. So big congratulations to all Philly fans. You guys deserve that. Huge, huge W for y'all. And back to the drawing board for the Chiefs. There's a reason no one's ever has gone a three-peat. There's a reason for that. What's up, WG in the building? We see y'all. What's up, Lonnie, Artie, Waffle Boy, Styles, Carter, Marcelo? What's happening, people? Sammy Stack says, awesome work on the rookie report, fellas. Best guide in the business. And I honestly, we're pretty humble most of the times. I agree with you, man. I 100,000% agree with you. Not only do I think this is the best rookie report that you and I have ever made, I also think it's by far the best in the industry. And if you guys aren't over on our Discord, we did just release a announcement that version 2 of our rookie report is officially out. Go show that some love over on the announcements tab. You know, let's get some creative emojis going on over there. I know y'all do your thing, but that is available on the Flock site. All right, so if you go to recent posts, you will see version 2 of our 2025 rookie report has just officially released. Now, if you click on it, guys, I just want to show you something. You will be able to see, I know that says failed, but that's because I'm on Firefox. You will be able to preview it. What I would suggest to everybody is looking at this button here. That's the download button. That is the best way to view our rookie report by far, point blank period. It'll obviously open it up for you. And I mean, I'll give you guys a little preview of it, but we've got clickable links now in the rookie report, which are incredibly helpful to guide you through it because there's just so much information. In version 2, we released historical hit rates. We have written detailed summaries for over 50 prospects. We have the limits to lemonade report, 15 new player profiles, updated 1 quarterback in Superflex big board. We have updated players returning to school, and now obviously clickable links. It's by far the best draft guide of any sort we've ever made. But for example, these clickable links will all be available when you download it. Let's say you want to go to the quarterbacks, it'll take you right there. And the coolest part about this is once you're done, let's say you wanted to look at Shedeur Sanders' profile. All right, you want to read my little summary of him, you want to check it out. Well, at the bottom left of every single page, there is a back to contents page, and when I click that, that'll take me right back to the table of contents. Okay, maybe I want to view the all limits to lemonade team. Bang, right to it. At the bottom left, you want to go back to the top? Bang! Back to the top. From downtown! So I'm incredibly excited about this. I'm incredibly proud of what we've built. The historical hit rates I spent all last week completely updating and making sure they're accurate up to the day. Very excited about that. Not only do we have the star status like we had last year, but we also have superstar status for this historical hit rates, which is another addition to the report as well. You can see, in the reports, small details like where does a player rank in a certain metric amongst the entire college football this year. And for example, we even tell you the metrics. So for example, running backs, there are 219 running backs who had 75 attempts. So let's actually have a look at the running backs real fast, okay? Because we show you exactly where they ranked amongst college football. Why don't we go to the running backs? All right, cool. We're there. Ashton Genty. You can see at the top right here. Yards after contact per attempt. He was first out of 219 running backs at 5.25. Again, I know I'm talking the report up, but I wholeheartedly believe by far this is the best report in the industry, Badaki.
It's fire as fuck. I'll be honest.
People keep asking, why isn't Badaki on the videos? Why isn't he doing this? Why isn't he doing that? Well, because he is making this all happen on the back end. Yes, I'm doing the scouting. I'm writing the summaries. But how beautiful it is, the functionality of it, that would not be possible if we hadn't made those little changes to the way we operate about 6 months ago or so. So first off, I want to say big shout out to Badaki because a whole new rebranding is coming on the way. He's been working on that. The rookie report, he's been working on that. It looks so beautiful. Like, honestly, I've never seen something this beautiful in my life from a rookie report, from a draft guide in general. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. So again, if you want to look at it, you can go to the Flock site. Just go to flockfantasy.com/posts. Okay, and it will be the first post up there, version 2.0 of our rookie report. Can't wait for version 3 already, but man, there is so much information. Like we said, all of these things were added. 7 new features, and most of those features have multiple things included. So super proud of what we've been able to put out. I can't say more positive things about it. So that is exciting. Why don't we do a little preview? Yep. What's a player that you had fun like entering the information on, and we'll kind of just walk people through a profile real fast before we move on.
We could just do like Devin Neal. I think that's one of my favorite players in this draft, personally, at the running back position.
So actually, cool part which I didn't mention is when you go to the rankings, if you wanted to go to Devin Neal quicker, you can go to the rankings. All these names again, you got to download it offline, right? But click on Devin Neal, bang. Okay, so yes, Devin Neal. We'll obviously have to wait on the combine. He ranks 20th on the Limits to Lemonade report, which was a little bit disappointing because you and I really liked him last year. I still like him this year as well.
Yeah, I still like him this year.
You can see the stats. You can see the analytics, projected draft capital. My pro comp ceiling was David Montgomery, Chase Brown. Pro comp floor was Khalil Herbert, Jeff Wilson. And then a detailed write-up. And let's actually look at that write-up. This is what I wrote for him. Devin Neal played a crucial role in putting Kansas football, a notorious basketball school, on the map. Over 1,200 rushing yards and 15 rushing touchdowns in each of the last 2 seasons. An exceptionally creative player in the open field, is the sports equivalent of performance street art as he crafts his own route in the second level of a play. I can confidently say he possesses elite change of direction, the kind that can leave defenders recovering from their broken ankles in the hospital. That kind of I mean, look, like, this is not, we didn't just paste shit into ChatGPT, our notes into ChatGPT, and said, make me something. I wrote all these individually, took so much time, and wanted to really represent a player completely. So that's just one. Again, yeah, maybe I'm going too hard on this, but I'm just so fucking proud of it, honestly. So good job, Badaki. Good job, me. And now it's for your viewing pleasure.
That's right. That is right. I fucking love that thing. That's
same. I'm so proud of it.
It took me day and fucking night to do that, but it looks cool as shit.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I don't know. I honestly, like, you know, one of the things, just to go do a little rant, one of the things like we always pride ourselves on in videos and what we do is like the presentation.
Yeah.
Graphics is really huge. The way we present is really huge. I'm not saying like we're fashion forward, but we both love fashion. We both love to like look into those cool like streetwear high fashion type vibe. And we didn't want to be a typical copy and paste type of content creators where it's just like, you know, player, stats. Like, no, let's get creative. Let's have some fun with this. You know, like, it's football, but like we can be creative as well. But 100%. I don't know. I just think we're like ahead of creativity, especially with the new branding that's coming through, which is probably a sneak peek if you really look closely of what that new logo potentially is going to look like. But
I can't wait to put the new branding out. We've had new branding for like 2 months now. We've just been working on all the stuff on the back end and going to release it very soon. All right.
Yeah.
And this is all the stuff that you guys don't see on the back end that we've just been working our ass off. I mean, I didn't hang out with my family at all for the past 4 weekends. Just scouting, just getting this entire thing together. Super proud of it. Good job, Badaki. And again, I would suggest when you guys click on the Flock site, definitely click the download button. All right. And you can do that for
on mobile and on
desktop,
mobile and online.
Because those clickable links will work for both. Okay. Let's get to the rookie draft part of this stream, shall we? We are doing a 2025 rookie draft, and people can join us. Badaki, if they want to join us, how can they get in?
Yeah, guys, join our Discord. That link is in the chat. That link is also in the description. It is first come, first serve. But what you want to do is go to the Discord, go to the Fantasyland tab with the orange footballs, and then go to announcements. That's how you can join each and every mock draft, whether you're watching this now or later, okay? So I'll send that link out right here, right now.
Yep.
And let me make sure I'm in. Okay, yep. All right, here we go. Send that link out here in 3, 2, 1. There you go.
So that is going to get filled up. And while that's filling up, let's get a couple admin things out of the way. Number one, we were very excited to talk about a rookie report, so we took some time to talk about it. I can't wait for you guys to see it. And please, message me on Discord or in the general tab or whatever and tell me your thoughts and any feedback. We always want it to be better and better and better. I honestly encourage you guys to read all of those summaries because I was very specific with every single player and talked about the state of how the community views them versus how I view them, all that kind of stuff. But the next portion we're getting into is our rookie draft portion, okay? Now, we are going to use a mock draft from Sammy Stacks, our intern. Right after that, we will go into team reviews. So, we do have a like goal today of 100 likes. With your help, I know we can get there. So, be a friend. Smash that like button as today's stream begins. We're almost halfway there already. You guys are absolutely incredible. So, this is the world that we are going to live in, guys. All right? I ask you right now, take a second and just mentally step out of the world you currently live in. All right? Let's no longer think, well, what could be? Let's use this mock draft as if it is reality and talk about how it will impact Dynasty rookie drafts. That will be the most helpful way for us to move forward. So let's pretend this is real life. How does that impact a rookie draft? This is the first mock draft Sammy Stacks, our intern, has done. Shout out to him, where he's done a trade. All right, and the trade is... There's an extra piece of this trade, which I need to pull up because he said it. The website didn't get all of it. But essentially, the Raiders trade up with the Titans. All right, the Titans trade back. They get a first, a second, third, and obviously the sixth overall pick. And then what didn't show is Sammy said they also got the 26th first from the Raiders in this deal. So the Raiders sent their sixth pick in this draft, a first and 26, a second, a third for the 101, and a fourth round pick. So the Raiders, in this world that we're living in, they moved up, all right? And let's live in this hypothetical world. So Shedeur Sanders is a Raider. Abdul Carter goes to the Browns. Cam Ward goes to the Giants. Then we see Travis Hunter. Tet McMillan comes off the board at 8th overall to the Carolina Panthers. Ashton Genty is a Chicago Bear. Luther Burden is a Dallas Cowboy. We get to see Tyler Warren, who goes to the Seahawks. Emeka Egbuka goes to the Broncos. Then we see Matthew Golden to the Texans. Further down, where we see Colston Loveland to the Chiefs. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think for sure Travis Kelce was planning on retiring last night if he three-peated. Don't know where he stands emotionally right now. He hasn't said that he is or is not going to play, but it is something to monitor. And I'm assuming in this world, Travis Kelce is moving on, and Colston Loveland is the heir apparent to that receiving tight end threat for Pat Mahomes. Moving into round 2, where we see Omarion Hampton to the Giants, Jack Besh to the Titans. Then we see, let's have a look, Travion Henderson to the Bengals, Jalen Royals to the Steelers, Alec A.O. Manor to the Packers, Caleb Johnson to the Chargers, Trey Harris to the Ravens, Elijah Arroyo. I love this. I love Ben Sinnott, but I'm telling you what, Elijah Arroyo has something that is just different. Man, I would really encourage you guys to go look at our rookie report and my write-up on Elijah Arroyo. In fact, I'll read it to you real quick because I'm just so obsessed with this rookie report right now. I said, all cards on the table. I'm absolutely obsessed with Elijah Arroyo. His fluidity at his size is extremely rare. He moves like motor oil through an engine. He's an exceptional route runner, a nightmare after the catch, and possesses a game-changing blend of suddenness and speed. However, he is not the best blocker, and his ball skills remain somewhat unproven since he was rarely asked to showcase them this season. I see a franchise-altering talent. And when I talk about his ball skills, he only had like 5 contested catch opportunities. They just didn't put him in those scenarios where it's like a one-on-one ball. But love that landing spot. We got Judkins going to the Chiefs in round 3. Dart to the Browns in round 3. Bond to the Jags. Higgins to the Saints. Sampson to the Raiders. Cam Scatterbo to the Cowboys. Harold Fannin to the Patriots. Xavier Restrepo to the Cardinals. Gunnar Helm to the Colts. Jalen Knoll to the Bucks. Brashard Smith. I love that. Come on, after the Senior Bowl hype, my guy is moving up into the 3rd round. I love it. That could be the Joker that they're looking for over there in Denver. Tej Johnson to the Rams. Devin Neal to the Browns. DJ Giddens to the Vikings. Savion Williams to the Dolphins into round 4, where we see Torrey Horton to the Raiders, Ty Felton to the Bills, Mason Taylor to the Saints, RJ Harvey to the Panthers, Pat Bryant to the Falcons, Terrence Ferguson to the Titans, Damian Martinez to the Steelers, Caden Prather to the Chargers. We also see in round 5, Jarquez Hunter to the Jags, Kyle Monangai to the Patriots, Ricky White to the Jets, Jake to the Panthers, Nick Nash to the Commanders, Nick Nack Paddywhack, Jalen Lane to the Bengals, Kobe Hudson to the Giants. And then you guys can see the rest of this on your own if you like. Again, the link is in the description, and it is also in the chat. And Ollie Gordon, for anyone who cares, went to the Bills in round 6. You know, I know the Ollie Gordon hive thinks he's going to be like a 3rd-round pick. It's possible. I also think it's just as possible that he's a 5th or 6th-round pick. I really think his range is round 4 to 6. So, you know, I know the role, and there's plenty of people out there like the role who believe, you know, hey, Ollie Gordon's undervalued. I hear you guys. I might not necessarily agree, but I hear you. And I think his range of outcome is very much round 3 to 6. Okay. That is the world that we're living in. This is a 12-team Superflex PPR tight end premium mock draft. Let's get this thing started here in 3, 2, 1.
Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny. Ashton Genty.
Ashton Genty does come off the clock. And remember, he went to the Bears with the 10th overall pick. So Ben Johnson straight away trying to set, the offense up that way.
Luther Burden is next at the 102 here. He goes to the Dallas Cowboys. He's going to be next to CeeDee Lamb here. Dak Prescott. They do need another wide receiver too there.
There has been so much Luther Burden hate recently. And I'm glad to see in this world that we're living in, people recognize his range of outcome, right? Which is as high as the 102. And of course, his floor is lower than the 102, no doubt about it. But there is a world that we can live in where parts of the community are like, you know what? Actually, I could see a world where I put some respect on Luther Burden's name. So I'm glad that happened. Ted McMillan was a good fit as well to the Panthers with the 8th overall pick. They desperately need someone like that. Honestly, when you think about Bryce Young, he's never had a player like that. Even in college, he had Jameson Williams, more of a field stretcher. And obviously, Caleb Johnson comes off the board, remembering that he went to the Chargers in round number 2. I don't think it's crazy to take a Caleb Johnson this high. I mean, again, if you're going to say, wow, you pass up on a first-round wide receiver in Ted McMillan, well, I mean, we know this based off of the research that is now in our rookie report, right? Running backs in round 2 have a 70% hit rate, almost 71%, whereas wide receivers are hovering around 53%. And again, we can show you that. I'm just showcasing this report throughout the stream. But again, a 71% hit rate for round 2 running backs, right? 53% for wide receivers. We've gotten a little bit spoiled with the amount of first-round running backs, but don't forget, like, Breece Hall was a round 2 running back. Ken Walker was a round 2 running back. I mean, these guys are safe bets. Breece Hall, I believe, the 101 in his class, if I go back and remember. But Ted McMillan, great landing spot for Caleb Johnson.
He went to the Chargers in the 2nd round, if I'm not mistaken there. So that was a nice landing spot. Then big old Travion.
I love it. Travion Henderson.
He goes to the Bengals.
Yep.
Yeah,
How did Chase Brown owners feel about that landing spot if Travion went to the Bengals?
It's just not ideal, really.
Yeah.
I get it if you get like a bigger back, maybe in the 4th round to maybe get complement, but Travion could just take over that backfield easily. Yeah, personally,
it certainly would be a possibility. Shedeur Sanders goes at the 106, so the first overall pick in the draft does fall all the way to the 106. I definitely think he's worthy of being drafted as high as the 102. This is my problem with this class in general, is I keep telling people to trade back from the 102, but they keep saying, oh, I'm going to miss out on Ted McMillan. And as much as I love Ted McMillan, I was telling you to do the same thing last year from the 101 and the 102 to the 103 and the 104. People are like, but I'm going to miss out on Caleb Williams. I'm not going to get Marvin Harrison, though. I feel the same way in this class with the 102 all the way down to the 107.
Okay. Well, Travis Hunter off the board there. He goes to the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken. And then Omarion Hampton falls to the 108. I mean, he's been like the 102, 103, mostly in our mock drafts, even with good or bad landing spots. They must not like my beloved New York Football Giants there in the early second round for Omarion. I know Tyrone Tracy's there, but I mean, if they draft a second round running back, in my opinion, is more thank you for your service, Tyrone.
Yeah, well, if they spend an early second round pick, it's very obvious that that running back would take the majority of their workload. At least you would expect that, right?
Yeah.
Emeka Egbuka does come off the board. Remember, he went to the Denver Broncos with the 20th overall pick.
Landing spot.
So that's a really, really great pick there as well. You know, there's a realistic scenario where, I mean, look, I don't want to be like the anti-tech guy. I don't know why people keep turning me into that, but it's more putting respect on the other players in this class. Let me ask you, if Tet is the consensus 102, and this is the world we're living in, right? Tet is a Panther, and Egbuka is a Bronco. Are we 100% sure that 102 consensus is really worth that much more than the 109? This is why I keep suggesting to people to trade back. Trade back from the 102 to the 107, get a future first. To the 109, get a future first and a second. You know, like what is possible in your leagues? And obviously, you know, it's not always going to work out this way, right? It could be a different outcome in the real NFL draft, but in this world we're living in, it proves again to be a smart move if you're able to do it.
Yeah, I completely agree here. You are on the clock of the 111. I know you probably got a couple different options there.
I kind of feel like I've been handed a gift here a little bit. You know, a lot of people are anti this guy being their tight end one. He is my tight end one right now. Draft capital will be the ultimate determinator of who actually is my tight end one. But you're telling me in this world that probably Travis Kelce's retiring this year, if not next year. Let's say he retires this year. And you have Colson Loveland in the first round to the Kansas City Chiefs. Dynamic receiving threat. If you draft this guy, you're drafting him to be a part of your offense. You're not drafting him because of how excited you are what he can do for your run game as a blocker. You see a dynamic mismatch at tight end. And that's what I'm going to take here at the 111. I'll take Colston Loveland off the board. Obsessed with the idea of him being in Kansas City. And I'm excited about it.
Not a bad landing spot. Jalen Royals.
All right, so Jalen Royals comes off the board at the 112. Y'all know I love me some Jalen Royals. He went to the Steelers in round 2 here. It's an interesting fit because we always see Luther Burden to the Steelers, and in a way, this is like discount version of that in round 2 as far as like an explosive playmaker, you know, after the catch type of guy for the Steelers. So they definitely don't have a Jalen Royals on their team. George Pickens is not this explosive after the catch type of player, so it makes sense why they would want to bring in a player like that on their roster. All right, who is the best value in round 1? What do you guys think? Who is the best value in round 1? Who do you think the best value is in round 1, Badaki? And then we'll see what the community thinks here.
I personally think it's Omarion. I don't know why he was taking over some of these players. I mean, if you really think about it, I think he should be going over Shedeur and Travis Hunter, but obviously this is super flex. I like the landing spot. I also think the next best one is probably Mika. I think I would take Mika over. I mean, I think right now at face value, I feel like I would want Mika over Ted, based off landing spot. Just because you think about that offense, he instantly goes there to be the number 1. It feels like if they keep Cortland Sutton, he's there with Bo Nix. Maybe that's a big stretch. Maybe that's a little bit risky. Am I going to take him at the 104? I don't know, but I feel like there's a conversation there at least.
Yeah.
But Omarion is definitely the guy for me.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying Omarion Hampton is the steal of round 1, and you know, we've had like this common trend, I guess, in our comment section where people are saying, do we really see the quarterbacks being drafted this low? Right. And, you know, this person here, Silas, says, when all is said and done, the quarterbacks will be drafted higher and 3 will go in the first round of fantasy. I think it comes down to your conviction on this class. And this is why I continually ask people to sell the 102, because you can make a case. that in this world we're living in, Shedeur Sanders, first overall pick to the Raiders, you can make a case based off your conviction he should be the 101. Would I do that? No, I would not do that. But based off your conviction, you can make a case that Shedeur Sanders is worthy, at minimum, of the 102. Okay? You might not like Shedeur Sanders. My issue overall with this class is I don't believe any of these guys are being drafted inside the top 10 because of their talent. They're being drafted because of need. And that's just my conviction of the class. And you'll see our community maybe reflect that a little bit because obviously they listen to us. They watch our content. But this is why I keep telling people, if you can trade back from the 102 and maximize value, do it. Because imagine if you did trade back from the 102 and at the 106 you got Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders in a future first, right? That is your ideal outcome. Think less about the names and more about maximizing the value. But yes, Shedeur Sanders is just as willing as any other player being the 102. Cam Ward is just as willing of any other player being in the 102 if you want to shoot for upside in a super flex draft. The issue is I have absolutely no conviction on any of these quarterbacks in this class. In fact, I wouldn't have any of these guys as top 20 picks in most drafts, point blank, period. I believe they're going to be drafted that high because of their need. And we'll see what the NFL draft does, right? I mean, do we think it's that surprising that the Titans are wanting to trade out of the first overall pick? I mean, guys, think about it. Yeah, we remember all the reports we heard last year of the Bears and the Commanders wanting to trade out of their picks, the quarterback needy teams? No, we didn't hear those reports. Obviously, because there's a very big talent gap in the 2024 class and the 2025 class, right? There's a reason that the Titans are willing to trade down. They probably do not have a top 10 overall grade big board on any of the quarterbacks in this class. So if they can trade down to the 8th overall pick and get a future first and still take a quarterback, I think they'd be happy with it. But again, it all comes down to your conviction. Sanders and Cam Ward, I have a late first round grade on in the NFL draft. I know there's a bunch of steam right now around Jackson Dart. There's enough reasons for you to like him. There's enough reasons for you not to like him. But Dart's probably a third round pick if you put him in the 2024 draft. Sorry. Okay? I mean, Sanders and Cam might be a second round pick if you put them in the 2024 class. So it comes down to your conviction. Do you want to shoot for upside? For sure. But again, we have all these historical hit rates that we can refer to. So people who are taking a running back in round 2, do I blame them for doing that? Number 1, I don't have conviction on this class. Number 2, there's a higher hit rate for round 2 running backs anyway. I mean, think about it. Breece Hall was a 101 at one point, and he was a second round running back. So do I think it's crazy? No, I don't think it's crazy. Do I think it's crazy if you take the quarterbacks higher than this? No, I don't think that's crazy either. What I think is crazy is to have a solidified opinion at this point, right? Here in February. I think that's what is crazy to me, Badaki, is having a solidified opinion on exactly how the draft should go, right? So that's my little spiel on that. Let me know if you guys agree or if you disagree. But yeah, of course, you know, in real life, this is why I keep saying Sanders is as worthy of the 102 as anyone else. Ward is as worthy of the 102 as anyone else. But I don't have a strong conviction on this quarterback class as a whole. You don't have to trust me. You can do your own work. You can do your own research, right? There's no reason for you to trust my word on it. But the last time I had conviction of a class or of a player that I wasn't that thrilled about was Will Levis. And that ended up being very fair conviction. And I just ask you guys, if Will Levis is a prospect, obviously we know who Will Levis is now, but Badaki, if you put Will Levis as a prospect in this class, is he not the first overall pick? And then you have to ask yourself, well, he wasn't the first overall pick in that class, obviously, right? Because there was a better quarterback class in general when Will Levis was drafted. So that is the ever-moving balance we're trying to make right now in this class.
Yeah, and look, obviously a lot of things are going to change depending on your league. Personally, like, I agree with everything Zach's saying. I think there's going to be some leagues that people are going to draft for needs. And people like the upside of, like, if you're in a super flex league and you can get Cam Ward at the 110 and 2 years later he is the number 1 quarterback and you're saying, I got the steal of the draft. Yeah, you did. But at the moment, based off of what we understand and with the information that we're given, this is probably the best thing. This is how we draft technically right now.
Yeah.
So it just all
And I can respect, like, I knew as soon as I talked about Will Levis, people would be like, no way. And, you know, Lonnie, I'm not saying you are not correct, right, in your opinion, but this is exactly what I expected the response to be. I'm taking Cam Shador way above Will Levis. Like, and this is the benefit of hindsight. I don't think anyone would, like, honestly, if you look at Will Levis as a prospect and you start to sell everyone on, like, the tools and the physicality and the raw ability of what this guy could become, like, I really don't think it's that big of a difference in prospects.
You got to remember the draft. I mean, leading up on draft day, it was guaranteed he was a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. And then every single time that he fell, he was like, what's going on? We clearly must not know something about Will Levis, because he ends up going in
every
the
mock
second
draft
round.
had him 5th overall to the Colts or something like that.
Yeah.
And again, look, of course, now we can all look at Will Levis and be like, yeah, that didn't work out. But if you take him as a prospect and you don't use hindsight and you do a fair evaluation of all these guys as prospects, Will Levis is not that different of a prospect as far as his range of outcomes, because Will Levis could have hit. He just didn't. But his range of outcomes are not that far different than a lot of the guys in this class, like Cam Ward, for example, or, you know, your Jackson Darts, for example. I think Shador is the safest, but I think Cam has the highest upside. So there's my spiel. You guys might disagree with me. That's okay. I mean, that's the beauty of what we do, is we can all come with our opinions and bring them and hopefully be, able to share them.
And you guys can roast us
judgment.
whether we are right or wrong. And we just got to say, you know what? Yeah, we were wrong.
And what's funny is, like, you don't even need to roast us until April 30th, when we actually release our rookie rankings. That's what you can roast us on. You know what I mean? But as of right now, it's just pointless, because so much can change in draft capital and draft spots.
Where's Daniel Macy? How many days until the NFL drafts?
Let's get into round 2, shall we? Update on our like goal, currently at just around 63. So we're just over 36 likes away from our goal. Be a friend. Smash that like button to show some love. 100 likes is the goal. With your help, I know we can get there. Matthew Golden. I wanted to have a conversation about him, because ultimately I was very surprised that he fell into round 2. I'm not going to lie. I love me some Matthew Golden. First round pick to the Tennessee, to the Texans. If I didn't go Colson Loveland, I was going to go Matthew Golden. I was quite surprised to see him fall that far.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Obviously, one of those first round guys. Quinshon Judkins goes there at the 202. He goes to the Kansas City Chiefs in the 3rd round, so that's definitely a good landing spot for him, especially with all the question marks with Isaiah Pacheco there and what's going to be happening. Cam Scatterboot.
Yep.
He goes to the Dallas Cowboys in the 3rd round, which is also really exciting. I mean, he jumps in to be the #1 running back right off the rip there for Dallas. So not only do they get their running back that they needed last year, but they also get another weapon. So imagine that offense there with Cam Scatterboot, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott,
Luther Burden.
and Luther Burden.
Yeah,
that is nasty.
That is actually schnasty. Absolutely schnasty, son. All right, after that, we do get Tyler Warren, who was a first-round pick, but I can see why people weren't that excited about the landing spot. He goes to the Seahawks. I mean, they would need to trade DK for you to get really excited about a Tyler Warren there. I mean, he would be an incredible pick for their football team. No doubt about it. But for fantasy, I can understand why people would be a little bit hesitant on the pick. After that, one of my favorite players is Brashard Smith, and he came off the board. If you guys remember, Brashard went to the Broncos in round 3, so I like that pick a lot. Then we had Devin Neal come off the board. Tez Johnson, who I thought I love Tez Johnson. I'm the one defending him pretty much on most of our content, but I wasn't sold on the landing spot too much. You do have Tutu Atwell there. If you move on from who's a good, like, he can produce. Tutu Atwell is a consistent producer when he's given opportunities. So I didn't really love the spot, but ultimately, if they felt like, oh, we have Tutu and we can still use Tez, that to me tells me that Tez has a real chance to be the wide receiver 2 on this team out of the slot to complement Puka if they move on from Cooper Kupp. So I can get on board with that. Trey Harris goes, then Jack Besh. Trey Harris went to the Ravens. Jack Besh went early 2nd round to the Titans. I brought you guys Jack Besh as my wide receiver 6 or 7 back in November. Originally, not a lot of people were feeling it. Now we're starting to see him go in the second round consistently. He had a great Senior Bowl, so I'm glad to see my boy Jack Besh getting some love. And now you're up on the clock here with a lot of great options available to you.
Yeah, I'll take DJ Giddens here. He goes to the Minnesota Vikings in the 3rd round. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
that's a crazy landing spot for Giddens there. And that he fell that low. Personally, I would have taken him over Besh, Harris, Tez, essentially even Neal with that landing spot.
Yeah. Well, this is actually good news, by the way. People said Tutu's a free agent. I didn't actually realize that. So that's fantastic. I mean, that's a great pick, Tez Johnson at the 207 then. Yeah, so you went DJ Giddens, like you said. I mean, such a great landing spot for him in the 3rd round to go to the Vikings. That's fire hot. I love that spot as well. And now I've got a decision to make.
Yeah, Tutu is a free agent.
Can I really draft 2 tight ends? That's what I'm trying to ask myself right now. Can I really draft 2 tight ends?
I mean, you can. I think he went. Did he go to your Washington Commanders?
He did. But there's also a 3rd round running back available. And I think I like a 3rd round running back a little bit more than a 2nd round tight end. Yeah, so that's the way we're going to go here. I get a running back in the 3rd round to a landing spot that has a desperate need for a running back to establish themselves. We're going to grab Dylan Sampson off the board here. He goes round 3 to the Raiders. All right, and I don't think they have anyone. They have no one. They have literally no guys. Whoever gets drafted to the Raiders, we should be high on because that team loves to run the ball historically.
Yeah, for real.
Pete Carroll loves to run the ball historically. Loves that defense-focused, run offense-focused type of a team. So to get Dylan Sampson there, I love it. I think his ceiling outcome is like this year's Bucky Irving, but I think his floor is obviously much lower than that.
But what about Chip Kelly? Because I know he's offensive coordinator there. Mm-hmm. Where was he at?
Chip Kelly was just at Ohio State.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, so he was like Travion and Judkins.
Yeah, Travion Judkins. So he was rotating those boys.
Yeah, and obviously you make this pick if Chip Kelly stays there, you probably expect at some point another running back to enter the scene. But if you want to do this like the Chase Brown way, where you sell him at some point, if you're worried about that, the Tyrone Tracy way. But that's the end of round 2, and I got to ask the chat, who's the best value in round 2? Who do you think, Badaki?
I'll say this too. I personally think Tyler Warren, just because. Actually, there's 3. Matthew Golden going here, landing at 201 crazy. In the 1st round. I think is incredible.
Imagine a Genty Golden come away.
That'd be crazy. I think Tyler Warren, even though the landing spot is not amazing, he's a 1st round tight end, and what does that future look like? They have a new offensive coordinator over there in Clint. I know they got rid of their other guy from Washington already after 1 year, essentially, or was it 2 years? Not Washington, but the guy before, technically. And then I actually think my pick is great. Going to the Vikings, instantly stepping up into that Aaron Jones role. So there's a couple of good guys.
Yep. All right, what does the chat say? People like Warren a lot. Silas says Warren. Again, it's hard to say 1st round tight end isn't a steal here at the 204. I know Dalton Kincaid didn't work out, but history is still very favorable for a 1st round tight end. Iscarilla likes the Samson pick at the 211. I'm fond of it as well. The roll says I got the best value in round 1 and round 2. He goes Trey Harris, and I love the Rolls pick in the 1st round with Hampton. I agree. I'm not the biggest Trey Harris stan. I definitely like him. I see a huge range of outcome where he could become one of the better players at his position, but I think there are still some flaws he needs to grow through. And I'm just not a big fan of the landing spot where he goes to the Ravens in round 2. I just think that's where we send wide receivers to die or become mid. And, I've always said this, like, what if Zay Flowers wasn't a Raven? What could his value be in Dynasty football? I think about that often. And I just don't know that there's ever enough consistency for Trey Harris truly to be like a 15-plus point per game scorer in that situation. But I could be wrong. I talked about Zay Flowers as a sell in today's video, so it's fresh on my mind. But I do like the player. I like his range of outcome for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we get into round 3?
Round 3. Here we go.
Round 3. Let's get it. I love it. Elijah Arroyo, second round pick to the Commanders. He comes off the board. And
wow.
I think
Sorry.
that was the player I was thinking about drafting at the 211 if it wasn't Sampson.
Yeah, no, great landing spot. Elijah Arroyo, once I guess I feel like the Senior Bowl darling.
Did you see my ceiling comp for him on the draft guide? The rookie report?
If I can't remember off the top of my head, I think it was Evan Ingram or something like that you said?
No, that's someone else. It's Zach Ertz.
Ah, so good at it.
And it's funny because he's going to the Commanders. And maybe Zach Ertz moves on in this scenario. Hard to say. But I think it would be a great fit with Jaden Daniels there. That's a ceiling outcome, right? That's not my floor comp. But,
Sure.
I can't help but see Zach Ertz when I watch him. It's just this big, physical, smooth, great route runner, great after the catch type of player. He's fun to watch. Is the Gump with us? Oh, he is. Okay.
There you go.
Isaiah Bond comes off the board. I will continue to say that I think Isaiah Bond's a very talented player. I know his production wasn't there, but I will continue to say he's a talented player. You know what I mean? I'm a huge fan of his game. So he comes off the board. He went to the Jags in round 3, which I do think is a realistic range for him, round 3. Then we got to see this is actually going to be Jalen Noel.
Jalen Noel. Yeah, he goes to the Bucks in the 3rd round. That's a good question for you. I know obviously you're a big Jalen McMillan guy. How's that going to affect Jalen McMillan? Obviously Mike Evans potentially. I'm assuming they draft a 3rd round wide receiver. Maybe Chris Godwin is gone.
You'd hope so, right? I mean, otherwise, just Jalen Noel doesn't make sense as a name that you would bring in because you'd probably want to be going after the Trey Harrises if you're thinking about post Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Right. Jalen Noel doesn't. Not that Noel and McMillan can't play on the field together, but I don't really think they're complementing each other that much. So that's probably the world you would want to spin it as. But I would have McMillan as a higher grade for sure. I like both of those players. You guys know McMillan was my favorite player in last year's class. But I would have a higher grade on Jalen coming out as a prospect. And we've already seen him be good in the NFL. So it'd be a tough spot, not going to lie. But Sterling Shepard, would instantly take over that role that he had last year without Godwin.
So there's Sterling.
Definitely a possibility. Yeah.
Xavier Williams goes off the board there. He goes to the Miami Dolphins, which is interesting. They get a big body wide receiver, which is kind of the opposite of what we've seen of how they build over there. So that's an interesting landing spot. And then you get Alec Manor.
And by the way, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins decide to use him out of the backfield more than anything. I mean, if you watch his film, he's got a ton of versatility, and he had, I think, 6 rushing touchdowns this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if they bought him as like this, wild card, we'll give you 6 touches a game type of player. Who was next, sorry?
Alec Manor, he goes to the Green Bay Packers in the 2nd round. Yeah.
A lot of development needed for Alec, but the potential is certainly there. I definitely don't mind the shot in the 3rd round. Speaking of shots, Jackson Dart. Coming off the board.
3rd round to the Browns.
3rd round to the Browns. I mean, I don't want to go on my spiel. Do you know how many times a 3rd round quarterback has hit in the last 11 years?
Once.
Never.
I thought it was Russ. Wasn't Russ 3rd?
That's beyond 11 years now.
Oh, shit.
That's well beyond 11 years now.
Say less.
But yeah, if you look at round 4, that's Dak Prescott. That's the only reason round 4 is alive. If you look at round 7, that's
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Harold Fannin comes off the board as well as Ollie Gordon. What are you thinking here?
Yeah,
I agree. That's my comp as well for Savion is Cordell Patterson. Strepo comes off the board.
Having a look here.
It's a good question, Silas. I mean, we did learn that Kincaid was playing the majority of the season with what was it, a torn something in his knee? So we can't be too harsh on his season. I like that pick a lot.
Yeah, he went to the Steelers.
I like that pick a lot.
In the 4th round, so they don't get a running back or wide receiver, if I'm not mistaken. Well, they do get a wide receiver in Jalen Royals, excuse me. But they get a running back in the 4th.
Part of that running back rotation. So for you to get a guy in a rotation at the 310, I really like that pick. Huge fan of that one. I mean, he without being disrespectful to Najee, he can replace Najee. What Najee gives him, he can do.
Yeah.
All right.
Be careful.
Damien's off the board. Now I need to check where some of my guys are. I wonder where did Scoot and Tootin go? To the
big old
Niners in round 6. No, thank you.
Oh.
How about Jarquez?
CMC is going to be gone. CMC is going to be gone, so that's a good landing spot in my opinion.
Jarquez round 5 I could do. Yeah, you really found a steal there. I do like RJ. Just not loving that room he'd be joining. Devin Neal's already gone, obviously. Tez Johnson's gone. Rashard's gone. Jalen Knowles gone. Yeah. I think we are going to go Jarquez Hunter here. I'm a huge fan of his game. I'm honestly surprised at the lack of just general conversation around his name. He does go in round 5. He's pound for pound one of the better running backs in college football this year. Analytically, one of the better running backs in college football this year. So I will take him off the board here. I'm assuming if Liam Cohen thinks he needs to add a running back, that there's an open competition for Jarquez to get involved. So I'll take a shot there at the 311. But your pick at the 310 is very good. Like, maybe what I would have done at the 302 good.
Yeah. See you there, boys. We getting there.
Torrey Horton off the board. Let's quick fire through round 4. We can give a round 4. Let's do 30 seconds on the clock. All right. All right, where did Mason Taylor go?
Mason Taylor. Am I not spelling it right? Yeah, so he went to the Saints in the 4th.
Okay.
He went to the Saints in the 4th. Jalen Milroe comes off the board there. He goes to the Seahawks in the 5th.
Okay.
Or 6th, if I'm 5th round. That's an interesting landing spot there. I feel like that's a common one for Jalen. And
Marks went to the
Harvey.
Ravens in round 5, by the way.
Right, yeah. RJ Harvey went to the Panthers. And then Ty Felton. He goes to the Bills in the 4th. Jordan James. He goes to the Cowboys in the 4th or 6th round, excuse me. I like Jordan James.
Yeah, I like him too. I don't think he has like the I'm assuming this is supposed to be someone else. Oh, this is Trevor Etienne. Okay, I don't have a graphic for Trevor Etienne, but that is Trevor Etienne. Off the board there. Who are we talking about? I can't remember.
Jordan James.
Yeah, I like Jordan James. I don't think he really has like any elite trait that you could point to, but he's just a really well-rounded running back.
Yeah, 100%. I think I was just soft spot for like these smaller backs that are pass catching guys that could potentially be doodles. Like the first guy I always come to because I love James Cook coming out. I thought he was so good.
Yeah, you just
And
got
he kind of developed to be
I
that.
don't know if you knew you were on the board.
I had no idea I was on the board.
All right. I am
That's
on the
okay.
clock. Two of my favorite players left. Ja'Cory Brooks, hate the landing spot. Did we get Kyle Williams in this one? Really love Kyle Williams. He goes real late. I'll just draft him to show him some love. I doubt he's actually in Sleepers database. He's not. So let's pretend like my pick is Kyle Williams. He's one of my favorite sleepers in this class. In fact, if I go to our big board, let me click on Kyle Williams. I am a big fan of him. Huge fan of Kyle Williams. Watching his film was very fun. I think it's very hard to actually have a sleeper anymore in our industry.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Everyone knows every sleeper with social media and everything. I think he's maybe one of the only true sleepers in this class left. Like, if you were to tell me, well, I love Ricky White. It's like, well, everyone knows about Ricky White already. Or Ty Felton or Pat Bryant. I think Kyle Williams is maybe one of the only true sleepers left, and it probably won't last long. But I'm a big fan of his game, and after the catch, he's very dynamic, very explosive. I think he'd be the perfect fit with the Commanders. He actually had a visit with them already at the Senior Bowl, which was cool to see. But just as like that secondary option on an offense with a lot of developmental upside, he's got some serious juice, so I'll take him off the board there. And then Gunnar Helm was the last pick as well. That was fun.
Yeah, that was good.
I still am obsessed with your pick, Damian Martinez there.
Come on, talk it up. Damian Martinez, mi gente, you know? Give it up for the Spanish boys.
I love it. Absolutely love it. All right, guys, that is probably going to be it for the rookie draft part of this. We will go into some team reviews here in a second, but let's just ask the chat one final time. Who do you guys think was the best value in the entire draft? Who do you guys think? Let us know. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your opinions. We've already got someone, JB, who says, overall best value, I'd be ecstatic with Arroyo at the 301. Couldn't find an analyst who wasn't talking about him after the Senior Bowl. I kind of agree. That's definitely one of those picks that is up there, you know. Arroyo would be on my short list for steal of the draft, no doubt. I mean, team one I know it's easy to have a great looking team when you have the 101, right? And you can take Ginty, but to get Ginty in round one to the Bears, Golden in round two to the Texans, Arroyo in round two to the Commanders, that is one hell of a haul he had right there. Charlie says Warren is the best steal in the draft. It makes sense. Obviously, great player. Just goes in the spot that people probably didn't like with the Seahawks there. Waffle Boy says Jalen Royals. I love me some Jalen Royals, but I was just surprised that and as much as I love him, I was surprised that he went ahead of Golden when Golden got first round capital, but I love the support there for him. Damian Martinez, where is he projected to go? I think somewhere from round 4 to 5 is where I'd say Damian's probably coming off the board in the NFL draft. In this world that we're living in, I believe he was a round 4 pick to the Steelers.
It's Steelers, yeah.
Which is great value for you there. It's Gorilla says Samson at the 211, bona fide RB1 for the Raiders and a run first offense. I love it. Whoever made that pick, I mean, I'm a smart person, I assume. Silas says Mason Taylor in the 4th. He may be a starter day 1. Mason Taylor in the 4th. I believe he went to the Saints. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was a 4th round pick. All right, guys, that was a lot of fun. And obviously, you know, a lot of conversations today about historical hit rates and the quarterback class as a whole. And we'll just keep kind of having these conversations as we go, you know, each mock draft that we do. But we are going to go ahead and transition this stream from the rookie draft to some team reviews. We'll do 2 today. All right. And obviously people are going to be getting their playbooks today. People who decide to support us are going to have their teams reviewed, and obviously their playbook will be completely customized to their team. If you guys are out there and you want your team reviewed and you want your team playbook, very simple. The best way, I believe, is to become a yearly Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. All right, you get our 2025 rookie report, which just released, version 2.0, literally just released. All right, you can see that on your screen here. Version 2.0 is out on the site. Get version 2.0 of our rookie report. You also get the team playbook, right? Completely customized to your team. You get all of the premium tools and a free trade voucher, our rankings, databases, and of course you're supporting us on the Flock site. All the Discord benefits, everything. Now, if you are a member on a different promo code, you can still get a team playbook by going to the Flock store and buying one a la carte. I'll put a link in the chat here for you guys now, but that link will take you to a website that looks like this. All right. And once you're there, you click team review. Once you're on team review, if you haven't synced up your teams, that's definitely one of the steps you should do first, but you can do it here, ESPN, Sleeper, or Yahoo. And if you're on an MFL team, you can just upload screenshots in your MFL ID and we can still review your team there. But you just hit continue, right? You would select your team, make sure your draft picks are correct, and then you'll have Zach and Badaki here. The offline version is the baseline one. If you don't want your league to see it, you can get a baseline version. It's just $10 more to get the online review. All right. That's how you get it a la carte, if that's the way that you prefer to get your team reviewed. We already did Freslingers. He was an offline review, and we'll send that to him here soon. But we do have a couple of trade questions. So let's go to Ghost here first, Badaki.
Okay.
Ghost is asking a trade question. He says, I already have Lamar, so do you think this is worth it? They would be sending away Jaden Daniels. They would get the 106, a second, Brock Purdy, and Marshawn Lloyd. It's a one quarterback, 12-team start 8. And again, his team, he already has Lamar Jackson. So getting the 106 would be his only first-round pick this year. He could use that on a running back, which he does need, or a tight end, which, he does need. How do we feel about the value overall? Like, I feel like Purdy and Lloyd are kind of pointless in this deal.
I think so as well. I actually don't care about Purdy and Lloyd.
In a one quarterback start 8, I agree. So instead of adding those guys, I think I would counter and try to add someone a little bit more appealing. Like, what if you could get a Michael Pittman here?
Yeah, that's a better deal for sure.
I think Michael Pittman pushes it over for me. If you can't do that, can you actually remove the 26th second? Can you get their first and then send them your second?
Pick swap.
Yeah, which you don't have. So could you send them multiple thirds? Right? Could you send them your third and 25, your third and 26? Could you add on top of that Brian Robinson,
Yeah.
That's my favorite counter. But overall, I mean, I'm fine with this deal. In a one quarterback league, but I'd like to try and maximize value there by getting that extra first or a second in a player that could actually make an impact. That would be my my counter there.
Yeah, I like that one as well.
If you didn't have Lamar Jackson, we probably wouldn't have any interest.
It probably, yeah, exactly.
Daniels
I wouldn't really care for that personally.
We have a super message here from Scott Nova 74. Says, should I draft Jordan Travis in a 12-team dynasty? Should you draft him? Yeah. When? Very late. Like round 20 late. I mean, how deep is your league? But if I'm thinking through a super flex startup draft, I'm not touching a name like that before round 20, 25, somewhere in that range, We're certainly not going to draft him in like round 11 or something and waste a pick.
I agree.
But he was one of
I
those
think,
guys
like,
that we were trying to stash earlier in the offseason.
yeah, I should be surprised if he's even drafted. But if he is, if he gets like round,
Yeah, that's a good point. Like,
anywhere,
what is the third round before your draft ends? That's when you start thinking about him.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. You know, like it has to be really late. It's like you're just taking flyers. And if like people have been reaching on like some of these late quarterbacks, and he was like, you know what, let me just lock him up. You can do fourth, fifth round before the last round. You know, like it's not that big of a deal. Because by that time it's like, all right, you're just trying to get your guy.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, cool. So I think what we'll do today is
See that we have a couple offline ones as well.
Yeah, let's do Randy Tang and Kava today. Kava submitted a super chat. They upgraded their offline review to a live one.
So Randy Kang, or Tang, excuse me, is
sorry.
first here.
I forgot to hit next on this super message, Scott, but if you just go back in the stream when you get this notification, we talked about this question for about 3 to 5 minutes there. So just scoot back into the stream. We already talked about that. Yes, okay. Shall we start with Kava? Or Randy?
I know Randy was an offline, wasn't he?
Was he? Yeah, he might be. So we'll do Kava.
Let's do Kava first, and then we'll do
8-man.
Yeah, Kava and then 8-man. Okay. Until we wait for Randy Tang's message first.
Yes. Okay. Let's do Kava first here. Do we have a sheet for him, I assume? Yes,
yeah, we have perfect. Kava.
Okay, great. Awesome. Do you want to read the context here for Kava?
Yeah, I have it. It says I have the 25-106. I have the 25-106, not the 25-109. I traded Pacheco plus the 26 second during season last year for a 25-112, a 26 first, and Jonathan Brooks before his injury. Okay, that's the context.
You traded for Pacheco?
I traded Pacheco and a 26 second during the season last year for
he said,
the 112.
Before his injury, Jonathan Brooks. To be honest, even after Jonathan Brooks' injury, that would have been a steal with a healthy Pacheco.
Yeah, agreed.
Wow, this league is very unbalanced. Look at this.
Yeah, I see it. It's not okay.
Let's have a look at Team 1. Is it a Thanos here? So it's a super flex 12-team start 8. Wow, super flex start 8. Think about that. That is as small as your lineup can get in a super flex league. That's all heavy hitters lineup.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, wow, okay. So this guy's got Daniels, Maine, Nix, Gibbs, Cook, Jefferson, McConkey. So his starting lineup is Daniels, Nix, Gibbs, Cook, Jefferson, McConkey, Bowers, and then either Hawkinson or Adunze or Shakir or Mooney. Yeah, I mean, this guy has all of his draft picks still. So he's definitely the Thanos of your league. You are called Dynasty Boys, ranked 5th.
Dynasty Boys, yeah, ranked 5th here. Let's have a look at this team. Once again, super flex, start 8, so really small league here. Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, J.J. McCarthy, great quarterback room for a super flex league. Chase Brown downtown, Brian Robinson, Tajay Spears, the list goes on. So it's not a Chase is not bad. Obviously, there's question marks, and I know Brian Robinson, Zach just bought him in a sell high video, so that's going to be interesting to see.
Not even high, just sell.
At the wide receiver room, DJ Moore, George Pickens. So you don't have any heavy hitters at the running back or wide receiver position, which is a bit unfortunate. This is what we want to focus on when we say heavy hitters. You want the top 5, top 6 in each position and Trey McBride, which essentially you do. You have 2 top players in the tight end position, or overall. So one of the tight end position, Trey McBride, and then one with Josh Allen in the quarterback position. We just got to get some heavy hitter running backs and some heavy hitter wide receivers if we can.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you think about the starting lineup right now would be Allen, Murray, Chase, Bryan, DJ, Pickens, McBride, and Sutton. So it's not a terrible starting lineup. You were definitely going to lose a starting running back there with Bryan, maybe Chase. And from what I've gathered, he says he has the 106, not the 109. He also said he has the 112. So I'm assuming he has the 106 and the 112 based off of what he said.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that would make sense to me. And I also don't see any really impactful picks outside of that. He has a 3rd round pick. So, this team is interesting because he can definitely contend. I wouldn't say I would have him as a favorite to win it all, but I definitely think he could contend.
Yeah.
What pathway are you feeling on this one?
I think this is a 1-year punt.
You think so?
Because at
the 106, you can add a running back.
And then you have to hope the Bengals don't draft anyone for Chase Brown, and then you have 2 top running backs depending on who's going to be at the 106.
Yeah, if you were to be a contender, you would need your top heavies to carry you there, like McBride and Allen, which is possible. McBride and Allen probably carry him into the playoffs, but they're probably not a serious contender.
But let's just say that 106, let's just say that's Travion Henderson, and he went to, where'd he go today?
Bengals.
Went to the Bengals. So that's not good for Chase Brown. But let's just say he went to the Cowboys, hypothetically, to not be the Bengals, right? So you have Travion Henderson to the Bengals or to the Cowboys with Chase Brown. Now who's your wide receivers? DJ Moore. You need 2 heavy hitter wide receivers. I mean,
yeah. No, I can see where you're going. I think probably the best move is to tear down from Josh Allen and think about the 2026 offseason really retooling almost. The issue is tearing down from Josh Allen is not really what you want to do in a start 8. But I don't think there's another move really there. So I'm fine with a 1-year punt. You're untouchable. In this league, I think McBride can be there. Josh Allen will be on the graphic, right? But ultimately, we're going to try and move him probably. As far as holds, I like Isaac Orindo as a hold a lot. I like Malik Washington as a hold. At this point, you might as well hold Cooper Kupp until he signs with a new team. And then Jared Wiley for sure. With Kelsey maybe not moving on. We don't know. Draft capital grade. He has 2 firsts in 26, which is great. No second rounders in any year. I'll put it at B+. Overall team grade, I feel like more B- territory.
Yeah, that's what I'm at.
I like the superstars you have with Allen and McBride, but outside of that, there's not many top-end names or real valuable depth. So yeah, that's the direction I would choose. I mean, if you don't go 1-year punt at the 106, it's super flex, right? There's so many different possibilities there. I mean, any number of these names, and then at the 112, you're looking at the Judkins, the Lovelands, Warrens, and Igbukas. So it's hard to say exactly what would happen there. And I really think the other option here is to trade for veterans if you don't want to 1-year punt. But I don't think I would do that. Like if you use the 106 and you added like a Jonathan Taylor to this team, you'd be in a better spot. But I think you'd still be in a uphill battle, I think.
It is interesting. I don't know.
All right, so let's try and tear down from Josh Allen, shall we?
How
And
far
then
is the tier down?
the other trade away targets were who else were we? Brian Robinson, right?
I think you said Brian Robinson.
Cooper Kupp at the right time, for sure.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews. I think you can probably keep Keon. But Sutton you could probably try and sell when he signs a longer deal. Maybe Chase Brown if you don't want to wait for the draft. Anyway, so Josh Allen, if we're going to tear down from him, ideally we want to stay in this range of like, what would you say? Go ahead.
No, it's like I really just want to stay within like the top guys, but I know that's going to be difficult. Like, can I go from Josh Allen to Joe Burrow, Josh Allen to Jalen?
Not if you want to make an impact on your roster.
And I think that might be like the hard thing. Like, you know, do we still feel? I guess we can go from like Josh Allen to like a Bo Nix, or Josh Allen to Caleb, or Drake May.
I think Nix,
or Herbert.
Nix, Herbert, Love, Caleb are where you're going to make a difference.
Yeah, I think it just depends on the trade package, because if we're thinking of heavy hitters and I'm losing my one pillar heavy hitter to just still get a mid-tier running back so I can have one, is that really worth it? Like, if I hypothetically, like, let's have a look at the teams.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get any value if you don't tear down to these names. So
yeah, it's a hard tear down, because with heavy hitters, if we're going against what heavy hitter definition is, if we don't get what we really want, right?
Yeah.
But it just all depends on what this team
Money,
has.
I don't know a single person in Dynasty Superflex leagues or even one quarterback leagues who doesn't want Jaden Daniels. So maybe your league's inactive. I'm not sure. But I don't know anybody who doesn't want Jaden Daniels right now.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate for you. Okay, shall we start with Knicks?
Let's see Bo Nix. Let's see who has him. Team 1 has him.
Yeah, not sure this team is really going to be, and this is tough as well because
he already has it, you know.
Yeah.
But like, for example, let's just say this is technically somebody we would ideally tear down with because he has so many options. But my perspective is like, are we going to get Bo Nix, James Cook, and a first, and hypothetically, and be like, oh well, at least you just got another running back in James Cook. And I love James Cook. Do you get what I'm saying? Or do we get like a Bo Nix and a Lad, but he's still not the heavy hitter that we're still trying to go for?
So the issue
it's definitely
is,
better,
if we don't do this trade down, we're right back where we started. We're a middle of the pack team.
Yeah.
So I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, if you don't do this move, you're still starting George Pickens as your wide receiver too. You know?
Yeah.
How about a Knicks Lad? I mean, that trade on its own is probably where you might
like that's the starting point,
maximizing it, but I think that would be huge for his team, especially a team that has George Pickens and Sutton as his wide receiver too in a dynasty league. But
yeah,
if you can add a 25 first onto there, or even a 26 first, and you send, you know, I know you don't have like this is where you would try and sell Brian Robinson, right? You would try and package him in a deal. You could also even add Cooper Kupp, right? Like these are the times where you kind of throw in the garbage to secure, you know. I'd say if you want a future first, don't get it from this guy.
From this guy, yeah.
So I think it would need to be Chunk actually.
Chunk, he's third. Let's look at this guy's team. He has Jordan Love. We can probably go there next, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you start off by not offering Cooper Kupp, right? Just Brian Robinson. But then you move up with these like names that we can just kind of get rid of. You don't really want to go to this guy and say, I'll take Knicks and 2 future firsts because his team is already stacked. That's not going to help you. It'd have to be Knicks, Cook in that first, or Knicks, a Dunze and 2 first. Like it can't be just based off first and Knicks.
Yeah.
He also has Drake May, so probably no point in talking about Drake May as well. But I guess you could get more, I think, for May. I don't know. It's probably the same deal.
What's the difference between the rank? Let me see on Keep Drake Cut where they're at.
It's probably the same deal for Drake May, to be honest.
Drake May on Keep Drake Cut, QB 8, Bo Nix QB 11.
Okay. Well, you and I obviously value Bo Nix a little bit higher than the average person.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with whatever name you actually tear down to there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm happy to, swap Bo Nix or Drake May for either. Yeah. I think that feels good.
All right, let's try Justin Herbert. So Justin Herbert is owned by King Henry. So this would be like a Herbert Brian Thomas, which I would love. I would be so happy with that deal just as it is.
Yeah.
You get Justin Herbert on the team now. You add Brian Thomas, an actual wide receiver 1 to your team. But if you can't get Brian Thomas, then can we add Marvin and a first? Right? Is that possible?
Yeah, I'm okay with that as well.
Outside of Herbert, we've also got Jordan Love, who I think is our last option here as a tier up or a tier down.
It's just Chunk.
Chunk has him? Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, he could be interested. What about like Love, Nico, Mixon or something? I mean, at that point, you pull that off, you're competing this year, and you might have a better team already. I mean, maybe you can add a pick swap onto that as well if it's such a shallow league, right? Send your 26 second, get a 26 first back.
Yeah,
that's a great option too.
That is good.
And a lot of these deals, you're technically 1 year punting, but you almost turn into a sleeper where it's like you're playing with house money as you go. All right, as far as the other guys, Brian Robinson is very simple. We want to sell him for any early second, right? So ideally like the 201 to the 205 or 6. We talked about that earlier. Cooper Kupp.
Sorry, I just want to say for Brian Robinson, ideally, like this is probably before the NFL draft, and if they don't draft a running back, then I doubt he's going to get any higher. But maybe you can get 2 seconds instead of like the 201 hypothetically.
Yeah, if you can sell Cooper Kupp for any early second as well, that's ideal. Mark Andrews, I like to package him with something for a first. So like Mark Andrews. Let's find a tight end needy team, because I actually think we could net a first if we package some of these names. So why don't we sort these contenders by tight ends? King Henry comes to mind automatically. Yeah, he has Dallas Goedert. So can you send him Mark Andrews and Brian Robinson and get his 26 first? Right? I think that we would agree is probably the best outcome. In order to sell Andrews. Like I would say like that's the route I want to go. If it's not Brian Robinson, instead it's Sutton or something, or Kupp, right? But I would really want it to be Robinson.
I mean, hell, we can even add it to the one on top, like Josh Allen, Herbert, Martin Harrison, 26 first.
Yeah. He's interchangeable in some of these deals.
Yeah, I agree. So I think that's good.
We also have a team that's competing like Brock and Ball. Torture? Okay, sorry. I didn't know where that was going. Beautiful. So can we send them... I mean, ideally Brian Robinson. It's the same thing, future first, right? But
Yeah.
in this scenario, I think their team is actually a little worse. So anyway, like it's the same idea there again. That's what you want to do to a contender. As far as Chase Brown goes, I think he's in this range of like the 106 to the 109. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, before the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's kind of his range. After the NFL draft, it can definitely plummet, or it can just be an early second. Let's see what Keith Drake does.
It can rise for sure.
So saying 110 on Keep Trade Cut. Obviously, we're a little bit different here on the Flock Fantasy site, but we know a lot of people do use Keep Trade Cut as a Bible, and it says 110 here.
Okay, so 110. All right, well then let's push that back to the 107 to the 110 then. I think depending in a smaller league, they might be willing to pay a premium on a name that won people championships last year.
Yeah.
This is the route I would take. I really am obsessed with the Brian Thomas one. I think that is your best case scenario. Love the idea of turning Mark Andrews and B-Rob into a future first with one of those contenders. Did you want to highlight any of these in particular that you liked?
Yeah, I really like the Drake May or Lad or the Bo Nix Lad.
Okay, Drake
either
May,
one of those.
Lad, right. We can put Bo Nix if he's really more attainable. We'll highlight that.
Yeah, and then we can just we have Justin Herbert one, trying to give more variety.
How about
maybe
if we already have two Josh Allen tear downs, do you want to Chase Brown?
Yeah, let's do Chase Brown then.
Okay, cool. So let's play this world out. I don't think there's another scenario here with the world we're going into. I mean, like, just so you know, when you're watching this, you could turn the 106 and the 112 into veterans and compete this year if you want to. If that's the way you want to go. But we took a different route in this one-year punt. But let's just say hypothetically the 106, ends up being Burden. The 112, you get Judkins. Just hypothetically, you add those two names. Let's say you turn Josh Allen into Herbert and Brian Thomas. You trade away Mark Andrews and B-Rob for a future first, right? I mean, in this world you're living in, you have another future first. You've got Justin Herbert and Brian Thomas. All right. And yes, you have no Josh Allen, but you have Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, J.J. McCarthy, Brian Thomas, a true alpha. You add Luther Burden as well to your wide receiver room. You add Quinshon Judkins to your running back room, right? I mean, that's an incredible outcome. That future first is there. Maybe you turn Chase Brown into something. I think that's really going to position your team in a better spot.
Yeah, I think this is. Yep, I do like it as well. I would just say this. I would emphasize, I know I was kind of talking about it earlier, and we were kind of disagreeing with the thing. I think you have to get a haul for Josh Allen, and I think Zach would agree. And if you don't get something that you like, I think it can really set your team back and make it even worse if it's not some high tier guys. Like we kind of stressed it here. Brian Thomas is a top 6 wide receiver right now. Lad McConkey is probably a top 12 wide receiver in Dynasty right now. Don't stretch it any further than that. Honestly, if you're going to get somebody outside of Lad McConkey, that's like a wide receiver 18, hypothetically, I don't think that's good enough, right? So just keep that in mind.
Yes. All right, awesome. Appreciate you, man. You will get your team playbook within 72 hours. It'll be completely customized to everything that we talked about today, and obviously you'll have this review straight away to watch. And obviously. We appreciate you, man. Appreciate you big time. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the support. And I'm going to come down to your super message and also just hit next question, because this was just your way of pushing that towards a live team review. All right, let's go to Abe Man here. AB8 Man next. This will be the last one we do today. If you guys are watching this and you want your team reviewed, you want your team playbook, it's very simple, gang. You can either become a yearly Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. That is the best bang for your buck by far, point blank, period. Or you can buy one a la carte through the Flock store if you're on a different promo code. Just make sure you choose the live tier if you want it reviewed live. All right. Last one for today is AB8 man.
Yeah, AB8 man. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for the support. Yeah. Let's go ahead and read this context here for AB8 man. It looks like it's a 2 quarterback 10 team start 10, which is the middle ground.
Yep.
So you can start up to 3 flex spots there, to be specific.
Appreciate you guys, by the way, coming in and showing love. Chief and Tyler, Trey. Appreciate y'all. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. And looks like you are ranked first here.
That's great.
Superb Owl Party. Super Bowl Party, basically. Drake May, Caleb Williams, JJ McCarthy, Trevor Lawrence, and the list goes on. A decent quarterback room, a lot of question marks. Well, 2 question marks in my opinion, JJ and Trevor, even though I do like them as talents. Let's see what's going to happen. But Drake May and Caleb Williams are going to be a starter in day 1, essentially. At the running back position, you got Bucky Irving, Kenneth Walker, and the list goes on with Tajay Spears. So decent running back room. At the wide receiver position, you can start up to 5 wide receivers. Drizzy, Marvin, JSNT, Rome. You got Devonta, Jalen Wilder, Brandon. This is a good wide receiver room. I really like this wide receiver. It's probably the best wide receiver room we've seen in a long time, to be completely honest with you. With Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. I mean, you got a 1-2 punch there. You don't have any 25 first, but you do have your 26 first. You have 1, 2, 3. No, it doesn't. But you.
Uh-oh, Brooks is not happy.
No. Continue. I'm gonna have a look.
That's okay. Team is very, very good. I mean, yes, you don't have draft capital for this year. You have some second rounders, right? But you've built a monster. In a 10-team start 10, you're starting probably May Williams, Bucky Ken, London JSN, Bowers, and then you need 3 more starters. So it's probably a combination of Marvin, Higgins, Adunze Smith, Waddle, Ayuk. Jesus, holy Lord, bless him. That is an insane team. Sorry. I'm just wrapping my head around how good this team is. I'm probably moving towards the direction of trying to tier up at quarterback here. I think what I'd like to do is tier up at quarterback at a running back 3 and call it a day, because this is definitely a contender. Can't call you Thanos. This team is like a Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Allen away from Thanos, but we're not there right now. Or baby Thanos maybe, but we're definitely contender pathway. There's quite literally no reason not to go out and compete right now. You are the best team in your league, and you have no reason not to try and win it all. So I'm definitely going to say contender. Your untouchables will be Brock Bowers. That really is your only untouchable technically, and that is why we want to tier up. I'll wait for Badaki to come back, see if he has a different thought there. But as far as holds, Ayuk is a great hold. Waddle is a great hold. Justin Fields is a great hold. I think Trevor's a great hold because he's undervalued. If you want to drop someone, I really don't think there's obvious drops on this team, but if you wanted to drop Wicks, you could. If you wanted to drop Tucker, you could. But again, I don't think there's obvious drops on this team. Hopefully you can just keep these guys if you don't have roster constrictions. But yeah, I definitely think the route I'd like to take is tiering up. So using, as an example, like a Lawrence, a Dunze, or a Lawrence McBride could be perfect to try and tier up at quarterback. Or even just to net yourself a really solid RB3, I think could be the 2 routes that we could take. But as far as your draft capital goes, we don't know the exact picks because you guys haven't set your draft order yet. I assume that's why. That's typically the case for most of these situations. But you're kind of in this range in your league, again, where you're trying to hit on one of these running backs. Let's see here. open to one of these running backs, you could grab maybe Jalen Royals if he falls in the second round or in a good spot, or a Neal or Burchard. Ideally you grab some of those guys. Maybe we can use some of these picks as well. I'm going to say use picks in a haul to tier up, right? If you can throw some of these guys to get a trade done, I think it could make a lot of sense. But let's go Trevor Lawrence plus Trey McBride, and let's start there. And let's see where we could kind of get to. It is a tight end premium, so that is important to remember. So maybe we can net a little more value. I mean, I wouldn't even be opposed to like a Lawrence, McBride, Devonta. Like, what could that really net us? Because you could really kind of play with some fire here. I want to think about this. So let's look at tight end needy teams that are competing. So for example, Mr. 18 wins. The definition of a tight end needy team. I wonder if we could get Burrow and Nico somehow from this guy. Joe Burrow plus Nico Collins. And, I mean, in this scenario, I wouldn't be that opposed to adding... I mean, if you can add all your third-round picks to get this done, I think that's a no-brainer. Right? 3 second-rounders in 2025. So we lose Trevor, we lose McBride, we lose Devonta, but we had Burrow and Nico Collins. And then our starting lineup would look like Burrow and Mayer Williams or McCarthy. You still have so many pieces there, but you have Burrow there, which is great. Still Bucky Kinn, but now it's Nico London. Yeah, you lose Devonta, big freaking deal. Right, you lose McBride, you already have Bowers. Your starting lineup again would be May, Burrow, Bucky, Walker, Nico, London, Bowers. Then we would go Marvin, Jason, Higgins. We still have a Dunze, Waddle, and Ayuk on the bench. We don't need Devonta Smith. We can use him in a piece. That's an incredibly good idea, I think, if that's possible. Yeah, you don't get to drafting the second rounders, big deal. Right, what else could we come up with?
Yeah.
Just to catch you up on your graphic, I said Bowers is his only untouchable. Okay. I said holds for me would be, I believe I said Ayuk, Waddle.
Yeah, I put Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Waddle.
I believe I said Justin Fields as well.
Okay.
And I probably said Lawrence or McCarthy, but let's put McCarthy. Whichever one we don't trade, we hold. But as far as drops, I said probably don't need any, but if you had to, it'd be Wicks and Tucker. And this is a contender pathway for sure. Team grade, I'm going to give an A flat. Draft capital grade, I would give a C+.
Okay, yeah, and then definitely a contender.
Everything I'm trying to do, Badaki, is to tier up with this team. And the first idea I came up with was sending Trevor Lawrence, Trey McBride, Devonta Smith to a team that needs a tight end, they're a contender, as well as 3 of our second round picks for Burrow and Nico Collins. Yeah. So let's try and find another team where we could maybe do something like that. For example, failing fumble. Yeah, like, could you tier up to a Daniels here? Could you do Daniels? I almost feel like I would do Daniels Cook.
Yeah,
and I would be happy with that. Sending
that
Trevor McBride and Devonta Smith off. Because if you're going to get Daniels, at minimum, you'd probably have to do McBride, Trevor, probably. And then Smith and Cook are probably pretty close on value.
I like that.
If you didn't go Daniels, you could go... I just don't think there's another name that makes sense. I mean, we could try for Amon-Ra, but we really would want to add running back there. I mean, would you do... Yeah, I just don't like this idea. How about teams 6 and 7? They also look like they could use tight ends. Yeah, Evan Ingram and Kittle. Let's go to Evan Ingram, Cobra Kyler. So, for example, can we end up here with a Jalen Hurts, Josh Jacobs, right? Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Plus Josh Jacobs.
Are we just trying to get depth at the running back position, hey? Like, the key goal is to get running back at the running back depth.
I was more just like, I'd like to get an RB3. If that's in a tier up, great. If it's not, then we can do it in a different deal. But just get better players across the board.
Okay.
Good to know. And we'll send a 26 second. So like a pick swap there, if that's possible. I mean, this team is definitely like a Jamar Chase eligible team. The issue is, I don't think this team has any interest in like a JJ or Trevor because they already have three quarterbacks
Yeah.
in a similar range. That guy has Laporta. This guy has Njoku. I mean, could you go for a Brian Thomas? Right, this guy has Tua and A-Rich. So I think he'd be a great option. Trevor, McBride, Devonta Smith for Brian Thomas. Probably have to be Brian Thomas, Jonathan Taylor, and then like a pick swap. I mean, Trevor and Devonta Smith is probably equal to Brian. JT and McBride are probably close. So maybe you ask for a future second there on top.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I think you can potentially squeeze that by.
Here could be interesting. Orange Peanut has Josh Allen. So can we send Trevor, McBride, Devonta Smith for Josh Allen?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, so in this world, you lose Trevor Lawrence. You lose Trey McBride. You lose Devonta Smith. But now your starting lineup is Josh Allen, Drake May, Bucky Irving, Ken Walker, London Marvin, Bowers, JSN, Higgins, Adunze, or Waddle or Ayuk. You really don't need Devonta Smith, right? You just don't.
Yeah, you don't.
I mean, can you add something on top of that? I don't know. You would know your league better. I mean, can we make this even bigger? And can we add on a AJ Brown, right? And then we will send them. I mean, would you be able to send your 3 second-round picks in order to get that done? I don't know. Like, that's a starting point, right? That's a decent haul. Trevor, McBride, Devonta, 3 second-round picks. If you need to add something in there, you can obviously do that at your discretion. I think that's where your options stop, though, as far as like using McBride as the piece, which is what you want to do because that's the strength of your roster.
I agree.
You could also, but I could go Trevor. You could sell Trevor straight up for an RB3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are the equivalents on KTC for?
I can tell you right now. Let's see.
For Trevor.
Trevor Lawrence. He is currently ranked. First one
James
that
Cook.
comes up is Jonathan Taylor, it says.
Yeah, you're right. Jonathan Taylor, James Cook.
That's the closest.
Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
I think you get... Yeah, actually, you know what? That actually feels pretty fair for all those names, honestly. Who does he have right now? It's Ken Walker, hey. Yeah.
Ken Walker, yeah.
I think, again, so just in this world, you lose Trevor Lawrence, big deal. You still have 3 guys, maybe 4 if Fields takes over. But you add Josh Jacobs. Ken Walker's no longer your RB3. I mean, even that, you still have flexibility with McBride if you want to go out there and say, okay, I'm not going to move my quarterbacks, or I move Trevor, but I'm going to package Trey McBride and T. Higgins. And we get a Jamar Chase. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think something like that.
I mean, maybe Jamar Chase isn't a great example, but who has Chase?
Chase was the guy we were just looking at. It's a football pun. 2.
So you asked for Jamar Chase and what, Mixon?
Something like that, yeah. HM will be too much.
Maybe you can do a future second or something. I doubt you can get HN, but I mean, let's just play out that world hypothetically where it's, I'd rather get HN, right? I think we both would. But you add on, like, would you do like an Ayuk to get that done?
Most likely.
Yeah, so that's another example.
Yeah. And I just want to say, like, I'm not sure if Zach said this earlier when I was away. Looking at this team, having another Geese added is like, I know we disagree on JJ McCarthy. So I'm assuming Zach is going in with the expectation of JJ McCarthy is going to be the quarterback. I personally will be waiting to do these trades, which probably it can either hurt some values in some of these trades that we offered you or help it in ways, right? Because if JJ McCarthy is not the quarterback, it's going to be really hard to sell him. And then in reality, you shouldn't be trading Trevor Lawrence.
I think regardless of what happens with JJ, Trevor's tradable. Because if JJ doesn't start, you still have Fields and Wilson. So that's why I was using Trevor in the deals. Though.
In the deals, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if that is the case and Justin Fields doesn't get a job and Russell Wilson is either he's still at the Steelers, hypothetically, then it will make trading Trevor Lawrence a little bit more difficult in my perspective, because then I want to keep, because if Drake May or Caleb Williams goes down, you technically don't have another quarterback, hypothetically, if we live in that world, if you were to trade away Trevor Lawrence, if JJ McCarthy is not the starting quarterback next year.
Yeah. And
so just keep that in mind from my perspective. But I understand where Zach is going as well, because JJ McCarthy is most likely going to be the quarterback, but I think it's 50-50.
I'm a huge fan of the Burrow-Collins deal. I'm a huge fan of getting Josh Allen. I think that makes a ton of sense. Is there ones that you want to highlight? Maybe
I think we can do one of the. Yeah, that one's good. And then let's do 22nd round picks for those running backs: Connor, Mixon, Alvin on the bottom there, giving some variety, which is great for your team playbook.
Yeah, but I love this team. I mean, you should feel very good having a team like this. But overall, love the roster, man. You're definitely a contender, and this was a fun one to review. Your team playbook will be sent to you within 72 hours. So definitely just keep checking in with the message tab on Flock Fantasy. So again, if anybody out there gets a review, just know that your playbook is sent to you within 72 hours, but it's in the My Reviews tab in the message section of your review. So
yeah,
that is going to be it for today. We do appreciate you guys big time. If Randy Tang is out there, we're trying to figure out if you want the offline or if you want the live version. So please hit us up. But that is going to be it for today, guys. We appreciate you. Nothing but love. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Probably a startup draft. Yeah.
Yeah.
Later.